Alright. Game has started. We're on Pillars of Gold. In particular, bottom right hand corner is where the red Protoss is spawning. Playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is ZEST.
And spawn here at the top right corner of the map, it is the blue Protoss. Give it up for Parting. Alright, looks like both players has elected to kind of build their first initial buildings here at the front in the natural. Of course, this is a map where the natural is actually pretty easy to hold. It does have a smaller choke point compared to the other maps, and also it does have a high ramp as well, so much easier in the defense. It kind of favors the defensive player. Oh, nice! That's actually blocking the natural here of Parting.
And Parting blocking the natural of ZEST. Welcome to PvP finals, guys.
Oh yeah.
That's what he's all about. Yeah, kind of the mirror in the mirror match. Okay, well, I super sure about this. Still gonna be a cybernetic score, not a second gateway for both players. I mean, sure. The zealots are gonna start hacking away at the pylons. It looks like both players are gonna get their second pylon in the main. Wait.
Oh my goodness, ZEST, you bad boy.
I was looking at the production tab and then I saw two cybernetic core being produced at once, and then, like, I was a little bit confused, but I suppose now I'm not.
Yeah.
ZEST, you bad boy indeed.
By the way, if you guys are wondering why he threw down a cybernetic core, not a gateway, because cybernetic core actually has a bit more life compared to the gateway. So if you want to block a natural with a building, you know, behind the pylon, cybernetic core is the way to go.
It looks like we're gonna see a Stargate on the side of Parting. It's a little bit more of an old style, let's say, with actually a full block, a full wall in his natural, which is very interesting. Meanwhile, ZEST gonna drop down a Twilight Council, and things are already starting to differ in the build orders, with a Sentry on the side of ZEST, none on the side of Parting, since he doesn't need that with Oracles ready to get scouting. But with a full wall off, Parting is setting up himself for quite a defensive play, even though he has a Stargate.
Oh, actually, we don't have a shield battery here for ZEST, so... Oh, actually, you know what? He should be fine. I mean, he's got the second Stalker on the way. He does got the Zealot, but this Stalker is going to go down here. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Maybe this guy should be spelling big trouble as the Oracle is making his way. There's not a lot of Stalkers left over. Only one. I mean, does he have a shield battery in the main? Nope, no shield battery in the main. So we're going to see a lot of probes going down very, very soon.
Yeah, and Blink didn't even start as well. Like, right now, ZEST is so chock full of resources. He's not doing anything with them. Oracle in the main, destroying the economy of the red Protoss. 8 kills on this single Oracle. It's even gonna suicide for this. But you know what? The price paid by Parting is not as high as the price that ZEST had to pay for this. The full wall-off is still there for Parting. He's still gonna be very safe against everything that ZEST is gonna send through the map. And that's another Oracle making its way through the map for Parting. This natural is completely exposed. Oh man, this should be a recall. And it's gonna be a chrono boost instead. Probes trying to make a run for it. But the Oracle is slightly faster than them. Meanwhile, in the natural of Parting, it's gonna be a huge fight between Stalkers. There are 2 shield batteries over there. So even if ZEST manages to break through, which he won't, There's not much that can happen. Partying gets game number 1. And I'm gonna say this again. Welcome to PvP Finals, everybody.
The craziness of PvP, the madness ensues.
That was so good already. It's a little bit sadistic, but I love PvP. It's just so fun to watch. It's just all over the place. It's also very, like, it requires you to be very clever. Like, a little bit of a mistake already puts you so behind. And that's kind of what happened this game with the 2 Stalkers getting way more damage than they should have.
Yeah. Alright.
Alright, we're going on Jagannatha for the second set of this series. Another big map. And this time, I feel like things should go a little bit more standardly. As standard as PvP can go, which is not very standard. But, yeah.
Alright, looks like we shall get started pretty soon here. Apparently I need to send some replays. 1 second.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna start with the introduction as soon as you're ready.
Alright. We are back. Let's go ahead and introduce our first player.
Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jagannatha. Currently behind 1 point in this best of 7 finals. Playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming, it is ZEST.
And spawning here at the top right corner of the map is the blue Protoss. Getting an impressive game 1 win. Can he make it number 2? It is Parting. So we kind of did see a very chaotic game number 1 start. And in situations like that, I would definitely favor Parting. I think he plays or has more experience with, you know, kind of crazy situations and scenarios. Zest, on the other hand, I think he's kind of more of a standard, more textbook kind of player. So the more craziness that happens, the more better I would say Parting's position is. But the more regular and normal it is, probably it does favor Zest a bit more.
Yeah, it's certainly like that. And the whole point of Parting play in the earlier side of in the earlier stage of the game should be kind of trying to put the game in the most chaotic scenario possible. That is where he thrives, and that's where Zest kind of struggles to find his own spot. It's gonna be a very standard opener on both sides, but in this particular matchup, things can go wild so quickly. It doesn't really even matter. It's gonna be double adept against double stalker. Of course, the double adept is on the side of Parting. It's Parting who wants the chaos to happen, and 2 adepts gain you map control and possible damage. So it's overall a great choice. But this will also mean he's not gonna go for any kind of super aggressive timing with Stalkers. Oh, and he's gonna drop down a pylon just outside the main of Zest to see which are gonna be the first 2 units to pop out of the gateways. He sees the 2 Stalkers and he's ready to send his adepts through, not before sniping down the 1 scouting probe that was still there. And it's gonna be 2 sentries on both sides. Usual follow-up, nothing too strange here. The first thing that is gonna be different is the shield battery on Parting side, and we have seen in the first game how good was for him having those shield batteries in the natural.
Alright, looks like Parting's gonna go ahead and start hacking away at these unbuildable bricks. But yeah, looks like Parting is gonna go ahead and go for the rowboat tech here. Let's see what Zest is gonna go for. He has yet to throw down his tech. Looks like it's gonna open up with a Twilight Council. So it seems like Parting is going to go maybe for more Immortal, but then Zest, on the other hand, probably going to go for Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, it's the old age question, right? It's just never really a choice that is set in stone, which one of the two is better to go for. And it looks like Parting is also going to set up an earlier Forge. So it's going to be trying to kind of play it a little bit slower, but setting up a more powerful timing than his opponent. While Zest is going to be just very solid, both in defense and offense, with the Blink play and the slightly later Forge.
Oh, some nice little cheeky plays here coming out of both players. Zest trying to shade in, but Parting shading his adepts at the ramp area. Of course, the shades of Parting's adepts can actually block out the shades of Zest. So if you want to, you can either do that, or of course you can do the classic park the probe there and then start making the pylon or the shield battery to block off the adept shades. But in the meantime, Blink has started researching, and it looks like Parting's going to go for Twilight Council himself as well.
Yeah, just a little bit on the later side. Of course, it's still gonna be very much needed. There's no Protoss build order without a Twilight Council, really. So, still gonna be dropping that down. The player's gonna get the third. And we're getting the macro game we were kind of expecting. And then again, this should be that kind of scenario in which Zest is just a little bit more clean than his opponent.
Yeah, but I do like kind of the tech path of Parting. He is going to have a bit more Immortals compared to Zest, because he did go for the earlier Robo, right? And, you know, the timings of the +1 weapons is pretty the same. The only thing that Parting will be lacking behind is going to be the Blink upgrade, but he's not too far behind. So by the time, you know, Zest or Parting moves out, I think Parting should be able to have his Blink.
Yeah, he's been dealing with 2 less gateways than his opponent so far, and he's still ahead in army supply. And not by a small deal as well. Like, having 2 Immortals out, like, mean so much more firepower in your army. So, Parting, I really like his position as well. I really feel like this is a great army to work with. Zest just now getting that Robo, just now getting his Explosion of Gateways and the Templar Archives. But that charge upgrade can really, really be the end of the PvP matchup by itself, really.
Yeah, that's going to be like the small timing window that Zest is going to have a nice little advantage. If he can attack during that time where he does have charge compared to Parting, which is going to be behind in charge, then that can actually be in Zest's favor. But if he lets time pass and he lets Parting get his charge of his own, then things are going to even out, and then Parting is going to have the Immortal advantage, and that could spell, you know, ugly for Zest. So Zest definitely want to attack very, very soon as his charge is done.
Problem with this is that Parting's arm is just getting so much stronger than one of his opponents. Zest getting +2, Parting not even gonna mess with that, gonna drop down a Dark Shrine just because. And now that Zest has charge, it's not gonna be the easiest of timing attacks for Parting, especially with those 2 shield batteries back there and the Archon being up. But the army of Parting is still very, very strong right now. Immortals are gonna start hacking down at those Stalkers. The Archon cannot get anywhere near the army of Parting. Right now, these Immortals are gonna face some punishment, but they're still there, dealing damage. Charge, of course, is doing exactly what we thought it was. Like, forcing those defensive Blink, getting on top of the Immortals, forcing Parting behind. But the fight still went in favor of the blue Protoss. Even just slightly, it was still a great fight for him. Shield battery overcharge gonna be used and gonna be destroyed immediately. Charge lots getting forward. One of the Immortals is very low in health, and now it's gonna be an aggressive Blink forward by Zest. I don't know if he has enough. These Immortals dealing so much damage. One of them is gonna fall, the other is gonna kill everything else. And Parting just shining his best in this matchup. He's gonna break through, and we're probably looking at a second victory for the blue Protoss. charge lots, not really cutting it through. +2, not really done yet for ZEST. It's gonna be another GG. Parting gets game number 2.
Yeah, really well executed attack there. Parting keeping those immortals alive for so long, and during the initial attack, Zest didn't have quite the numbers in terms of the charge lot, and he only had one Archon mixed in his army. And actually, that Archon, like you said and mentioned, was a bit kind of blocked in the back there, so wasn't really able to kind of get the attack out in the initial few seconds during that fight. But yeah, really well done there. Parting with a nice concave as well. And despite 3 shield batteries, unfortunately Zest does fall, and Parting is at match point.
Beautiful micro by Parting in the fight, just keeping his immortal safe for the second round of the fight. And man, like, in this kind of a micro heavy with similar army supply, Parting just shines so much brighter than Zest does. He's not that kind of player you can leave guessing. Well, you can be left guessing, mostly. You have to know what Parting is up to, and you have to have a clear answer, not just an average answer. And Zest didn't really micro his best this fight. Let's see if he can bounce back in game number 3 here on Oxide.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Spawning in the top right-hand corner. As the Rep Protoss player playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming is 2 points behind in his best of 7 finals. Let's see if he can get his revenge. It is ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom left is the blue Protoss player. He is Parting. Apologies, guys. I earlier mentioned that Parting was at match points. Quickly remembered that it is the finals, is the best of 7, so not quite at match point yet, as he is 2-0. And like you said, definitely gonna need those two additional wins to clinch the series. Let's see if Zest can kind of crawl himself back and get his first points on the scoreboard here.
Certainly looks like Parting is playing probably its best form, just kind of unstoppable when he plays its best. But on the other hand, like, Zest is this kind of player who can really surprise you with something unique. And I kind of want to see that kind of player shine again. Even though Parting is just playing so cleanly, it's very hard for me to see a way in which Zest can really win this series.
Well, currently we have a nice little start here for Zest. Was able to get the pylon block here on the Parting side of the base. Unfortunately, Parting wasn't able to get the block on Zest's side of the base, so Zest's gonna have a fairly quicker Nexus compared to Parting.
Yeah, and not too shabby, nothing to frown upon really. It's gonna be a very clean advantage in this earlier stage of the game. Mostly because this Zealot is not gonna do much for Parting, while Zest is just gonna wait for his Cyber Core to be done. And the scouting of the probe out of Parting not really gonna cut it off for much longer.
Alright, both players pretty much have their Cybernetic Core done. Let's see what tech Parting goes for, though. Hasn't yet revealed it.
Not having a second gateway is also kind of slowing him down by quite a fair bit. I like him dropping down the Twilight Council. That's the safest choice, especially not having the second gateway yet. Means that you can rush stuff a little bit quicker than your opponent. Having a quicker blink could lead you to do an all-in, even if you have like a couple less Stalkers. It's gonna drop down a robotics facility with these as well. And this leads me even more into thinking that Parting has something very aggressive in mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe some Blink Stalker play. Or just maybe a Warp Prism with that
What if it's a Dark Shrine? Like he's hiding a pylon on the left-hand side of the map right now. That's
Ah, yeah.
shifty.
That is definitely an option here for parting.
Ooh. So I do know something about PvP. I'm surprising myself here. I do know very little about PvP, sadly. But this time, looks like I was right. It's gonna be an aggressive play, and it's gonna be a Dark Shrine aggressive play at that. Let's see if these hallucinated Phoenix can get a scout in. It definitely looks like it. Oh! Oh my, he didn't click on that. He didn't click on that.
Oh wow. That is so unfortunate. He needs to turn. Oh, actually, never mind. His Phoenix, hallucinating Phoenix, is about to run out. But
can you figure it out by just seeing the gateway, though?
possibly, he is throwing down his robotics facility, so
Yeah,
he should have.
definitely.
He should have a pathway to observers.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it's gonna be a very unlucky game for partying.
Well, compared to the previous two games, things have opened up a bit more normal.
Yeah.
At least for ZEST. So things are already starting off a bit better here. And look at that. He's throwing down 2 cannons just for safe measures.
Yeah, so that's very well prepared against this. To the point I feel like partying is probably better just making Archons at this stage. Like, it looks like ZEST is so prepared against everything. Of course, he did need to spend some resources for this. And his blink is gonna be a little bit slower, but it's gonna have +1 ground weapons. And man, upgrades in PvP matter so much. 4 probes also gonna fall down. I don't know. I'm not fairly certain to what did they die though.
Yeah, I think catch that. I'm guessing it's probably a 2 adept run by of some sort.
Yeah, probably. Most likely. Alright, partying loading up Dark Templars in the right side of the map. And ZEST looking mighty ready for that. Oh, ZEST is actually walking through the map. Alright, he wants to clear that Dark Shrine here on the left side. Definitely does so, blinking forward, getting on top of the probe, then getting a pylon, and then getting on the Dark Shrine, stopping anything from warping in this side. That's a little bit of damage on the side of partying. It's gonna be supply block for a while, and he's now gonna drop with the Dark Templars into the main. There's a 1 cannon, as we were saying. Quick reaction by ZEST, recalling and setting the probe just all around the cannon to stop it from dying, but it will die nonetheless. And I don't see any observer right here, right now to do this. 12 probes have been killed by partying, and this is how you bounce back in these scenarios. The observer finally makes its way through the map, and this last Dark Templar will be lifted in the War Prism and will just barely survive. +1 upgrade kicking in for ZEST, just started for partying. Let's see if the big boy can really make it through, because ZEST still has a crazy strong army right now.
Yeah, this is the classic scenario where one player is ahead by a decent amount in the worker supply, but the other one is actually a decently amount ahead in the army supply. So here we go. Remember, ZEST has +1 on these stalkers. Let's take a look at the units tab here. 25 stalkers here for ZEST compared to 10 of Harding.
Yeah, like as soon as he blinked into the natural, man, that was feeling like game over for partying. Pylon being killed and empowering so much important stuff. These stalkers sniping down the cybernetic score, meaning no more stalkers for partying, and now the robo is gonna fall as well. No way to bounce back right here. ZEST is gonna get his first game of the series, and as far as it was looking unlucky for partying, ZEST kind of did a very clean game, and subtly so.
Yeah, the only blunder is, of course, the defense against the DTs. Lost way too much probes than necessary, especially since he had the necessary defense. In theory, I guess, with the cannons. Unfortunately, DT 4 DTs does kill off a cannon very very easily, unless you have some shield batteries. But Parting, or ZEST rather, didn't have any shield batteries in the main, so it kind of caused a little bit of a kerfuffle for ZEST. But in the end, ZEST was able to mass up a really strong force, got the +1 upgrades, and was just able to overwhelm the Protoss army of Parting in both quantity and quality.
Yeah, that +1 upgrade advantage just so strong in a matchup, in any mirror matchup. Having an upgrade advantage is just insanely strong. PvP, even slightly more so, because there are usually less units than in the other mirror matchups. So overall, ZEST, just by being the cleaner player, gets the victory right here. And we've been talking about this throughout the series. If ZEST gets like a standard clean game and Party does nothing about it, it's highly unlikely that he will lose that. So we're getting into game number 4 of this series already, and things are kind of starting to shift. Let's see how it will go here at Romanticide. We're in the top left-hand corner, where the red Protoss player is currently spawning. Playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming, it is ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom right side of the map is the blue Protoss player. Still ahead in the series lead. Can he extend it? Make some noise for Parting.
Getting to match point will be such a huge thing for him. But ZEST surely trying to make it a little bit harder. It's gonna be double gateway on the high ground for both players, same location. And let's see if they go for a pylon block again.
Yeah, this time around, this map does not favor the 1 gate opening, so both players actually has to open up with what is more normally the opening in PvP is the 2 gate opening. However, once the cybernetic core is done, that's where the really interesting part begins, because that's when we see more of a deviation from both players. I mean, they could definitely go for the same opening, but there's so many pathways that the Protoss can open up with these days that usually one player will go for one type of opening and then the other one will probably go for another one. So we shall see after the first initial units comes out here. It looks like both players are opening with a double depth opening.
Yeah, both players with pylon in the main as well. Not gonna go for anything crazy in any proxy, anything too aggressive. Of course, the double adept on both sides kind of makes it look like both players kind of want to be getting map control. We see ZEST doubling it down with a Stargate, which is another very interesting choice, especially on the side of ZEST. Parting answers with his own Stargate. Oh man, it looks like a 2017 PvP already.
Well, the one thing that Parting kind of has something in mind is that there is 3 pylons in ZEST's base, so he at the very least knows that there isn't a proxy out there. So that's kind of a peace of mind for Parting. On the other side though, ZEST only scouted, I think, 2 pylons, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and just make sure. Okay, never mind. He did scout the 3rd pylon. So yeah, both players know that there isn't really a high chance that there is a proxy out there. Anyhow, the first initial for adepts here for ZEST will be making its way here.
Yeah, these are already looking very aggressive from ZEST side. The adepts are gonna complete the shade as well, which is interesting. Of course, this is not gonna go very much in favor of the red Protoss, since another adept is gonna be whooped in, and after all, just having defenders advantage, just having the ramp available for him, just gonna work much better with the Stalkers, kind of out-trading the adepts at this stage of the game. It's gonna be an Oracle first for both players, and followed by a Phoenix on the side of ZEST. But the thing that is more favoring ZEST than anything is that much quicker Twilight Council.
Yeah, so there are kind of like two answers for scouting when your opponent goes for Stargate. Either you go ahead and drop a second Stargate, go for max Phoenixes, and try to overwhelm your opponent with mass Phoenixes. But the other option is to kind of go straight into Twilight Council, get that Blink upgrade, and use the Blink Stalkers to help thwart off any Oracles or Phoenixes.
It looks like both players are gonna adopt the second strategy, which is looking like it is a little bit more safe. And both builders are very similar right now. Both players kind of taking similar losses. Of course, ZEST losing a little bit more due to the 4 adepts he lost against the 2 of Potting. But still Potting, by being a little bit ahead in army, he's gonna be a little bit behind in workers. Even just 4 workers doesn't look like it's much, but as I always kind of think, it's a mirror matchup. Any single slight advantage is just a net advantage. It's just purely an advantage. There's nothing to kind of balance it in a mirror matchup.
Yeah, both players have the same macro mechanics, so if you're down by a couple of probes, the idea is, okay, maybe I could chrono boost a lot of probes out to catch back up. But on the other hand, your Protoss opponent also has the ability to chrono boost at the same rate. So never a good thing to be behind in workers, compared to your opponent in the mirror matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing can very easily work with upgrades. And talking about upgrades, the Forge is gonna be just right now finishing on the side of Potting, while ZEST didn't even start it yet. That is gonna be pretty bad for ZEST. Being behind in upgrades as soon as the first fight begins is just gonna be very ugly for the Red Protoss.
Yeah,
If that's gonna be the case.
Looks like he's actually kind of delaying his upgrade in favor of a faster charge upgrade. So maybe if ZEST goes for a kind of a timing attack when his charge is done, he possibly can kind of render the upgrade advantage of Parting useless if he can get that timing attack. But we should see, I think Parting should be able to upgrade his charge very, very soon as well. He does have the access already with the Twilight Council, so maybe once he gets the 100 gas war, he might be able to research it.
He's still struggling a little bit behind in gateways. Right now, Forge gets started on the side of ZEST. +1 ground weapons is gonna be almost finishing for Fighting right now, and charge is gonna be starting just now, but it's still behind in gateways. Like these 4 gateways finishing right now for ZEST, like gonna net him, I think it's 4 more gateways net. Oh no, actually it's just gonna be 1 gateway ahead. I was totally misreading that. And it's just gonna be 1 gateway ahead with an upgrade disadvantage, and Potting is just gonna try to abuse it as much as possible. Shield batteries will try to make up for it, but these Stalkers hit it that much harder than the ones of ZEST. And you can see it right here, the Stalkers of Potting deal so much more damage, getting such a good advantage in this trade. The Immortal trying to do its best, but it's gonna be sniped down, or maybe not. Oh yes, it will. Shield battery overcharge, not enough. The main fight begins. Both players man micro on both sides. It looks like ZEST is gonna just barely get a trade advantage. A huge stasis ward on the side of Potting completely turns this fight around. Even after losing the Ward Prism, it looks like Potting may be able to bounce back, but there's no defenders. Well, there is defenders advantage right now. There's no deny of the defenders advantage. It looks like in the end, Potting will be completely blown up by ZEST. Even with the upgrade advantage, the Immortals were just too much.
Yeah, and also sniping out that War Prism was so huge for ZEST. But that meant no more reinforcement for parting, which meant that once those stalkers were kind of free from that stasis, that they were able to join up with the fight against a very much smaller stalker force. This forces parting to, of course, retreat, and ZEST taking the win in the battle. And now he is starting to transition into those very deadly disruptors. Of course, we know how crazy PvP can be once disruptors are introduced into the game.
Yeah, you always have to be careful. Otherwise, these Novas will just destroy your armies very quickly. The game is not over by any means. But ZEST has kind of a crazy net advantage. A blame forward is gonna get another huge trade for ZEST. In the end, a couple zealots are gonna help the Stalkers withdraw, but ZEST is gonna take another great engagement. Like, it's falling apart on every single department for parting right now.
I would love to see ZEST kind of start throwing down his 4th Nexus. It's kind of quite behind. Actually, in fact, Parting has his 4th Nexus already up and ready to be mined from. And just now, ZEST throwing down that 4th base. Of course, he is trying to, kind of throw down some extra cannons for any potential DT transitions. In the PvP matchup, DTs are so deadly. So he just want to ensure that he doesn't die to DTs. And oh, nice cancel there.
Very nice cancel. It looks like these Stalkers out of ZEST are still gonna get another great engagement. I feel like Parting is losing a little bit too much. He's still getting his stack just at the right place. He's gonna be behind in Disruptors, but he could very easily turn around with a good disruption shot. Another cancel on top of the Nexus. It looks like Parting is gonna try to fight back. That wasn't like the best choice possible. Blinking backwards, trying to kite the Stalkers out of ZEST. Disruptors have not fired a single Nova yet. Right now, Parting has the upgrade advantage very cleanly. He's gonna be having +3 just when his opponent is finishing +2. Now, Dark Shrine is gonna be added to the mix. As you were saying, he's gonna be having a very quicker 3rd base income for him to work with. But ZEST still has a very powerful army. This could go very awry very quickly for Parting. Oh, one of the Disruptors gets very much ahead of himself. The other Disruptor is gonna whiff his shot. Gonna be cancelled. 2 Disruptors gonna be countering each other. And this fight is going so much in favor of Parting. Even losing these 2 Disruptors is still gonna work well for him. And Parting bounces back.
Yeah, but that was only half. Yeah, that was only half of ZEST's army. These second group of Blink Stalkers will be able to take out and snipe out that 3rd Nexus there. And once again, ZEST going in with the other half of the Stalkers, potentially getting this 4th. I think the party should be able to arrive and back in time, but sniping off that 3rd Nexus will put ZEST further ahead here in the economy. But it really comes down to those Disruptors fights.
Oh, and that's another cancel on the 3rd base of Parting. Probes are falling down left and right. It looks like the Disruptors are gonna be flanking the Stalkers of ZEST. Huge Novas from Parting. This guy has an immense brain.
Parting, turning and evolving into a big boy right now. And now he is smelling blood, and he is going to go for the counterattack here. And what does ZEST has? He has only 2 Disruptors here, 2 additional more coming, but here we go.
Oh, Parting needs to be careful. The upgrades are even right now, just for a little while. A blame forward on top of the Disruptors is gonna be working out in his favor. Disruptors are falling. That's a Nova coming, but killing only his own Stalkers. Way too eager was Parting in this single fight. And on the other side of the map, ZEST still trying to be aggressive. Zealots are gonna be forcing the Stalkers back, at least for now, alongside 1 Dark Templar. Here comes the recall, +3 just now kicking in for Parting. This is just the perfect moment to strike, but he lost way too many Stalkers in the last engagement.
Yeah, currently we have 38 Stalkers here for ZEST compared to the 19 of a Parting, but Parting does have a slight Disruptor advantage, 3-1. So just got to make sure not to die to the disruptors.
Last three really doing some work over here. Stalkers falling so quickly to the shots of fighting, but ZEST just being so careful with everything he does, setting up a concave and another concave and then another concave and just being up in supply. But right now Fighting wants to break through, just wildly sending his stalkers in, but it's time for ZEST to get his revenge. Here comes the surround. Another playing forward by Fighting, this time prompted into a recall, and Fighting gonna lose hard this fight. Gonna be so behind in all departments, and it's time for ZEST to go for his decisive maneuver. There's two Dark Templars running alongside his army of Stalkers, ready to get some damage in, ready to stop these Stalkers on their tracks. Will they be able to do that? There's one Disruptor, one Nova to be able to defend. Says there's so many Stalkers. He's sending a couple Zealots on the other side. It looks like one Nova is gonna get the bulk of them, but not all of them. Meanwhile, +3 almost kicking in for ZEST, who's actually getting a 5th base of his own. And now the game is looking very, very much his own to take.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got the advantage in the Stalkers. When both players kind of resets their Disruptor count, I mean, ZEST can just basically kind of blink on top of the Disruptors before they can get their shots out. And here we go, another huge engagement here into the 6 o'clock base.
Have you seen that one volley into the Nexus? One volley almost killed it, basically. It destroyed every single little bar of shields this Nexus had.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the advantage and the damage output of that +3 upgrade.
Is one Dark Templar really a hero of his own? 4 probes are gonna fall for ZEST. The army is gonna be shooed away by these Dark Templars. And that's a little bit unfortunate for ZEST because he was approaching just the perfect moment to strike.
Yeah, he's actually quite behind on the worker count. He does have more bases, but does have less workers to mine off of from. And now Parting has his +3. So they're going to be on even footing in terms of the upgrades.
It looks like ZEST is going to start off with the armor upgrades, which are also going to be important, especially in the Stalker heavy kind of fights. The Temporal Archives is also going to finish right now. ZEST is going to dodge these 2 Novas pretty much effortlessly. And now the army advantage for the Red Pro is just so strong.
Yeah, he's got actually a group of charge lot on the side ready to pounce. Although there is an observer there to spot the charge lot run by.
That's a decisive maneuver by Parting, blinking forward into an army of Stalkers. 2 Disruptors gonna get on the side. They're not gonna complete their Novas, while Parting is gonna miss his own. Nova's gonna be used to shoo away the army of the Red Protoss. Meanwhile, a whole bunch of Zealots come clashing on one side. Parting is trapped. A trap he made himself here in the 5th phase of ZEST is where everything will finish for the Blue Protoss.
One life on that Nexus.
Oh man, that was unlucky.
Oh man, you could have at least taken out that Nexus for all the sacrifice.
It will have still lost this game because this game is clearly lost for him.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
ZEST is just gonna approach the 4th phase of Fighting with a whole lot of Stalkers. Bunch of Zealots gonna make the desperate last stand for Fighting, forcing a blame backwards after killing that Nexus. But Fighting clearly doesn't have the resources to bounce back from this stage, while ZEST even has a tech advantage right now. It's gonna be a nice fight over here from Fighting, just kind of biting back, but ZEST is ready to strike on the other side, ready to get one more Nexus, ready to clutch this game over and get to game number 5 with a tied up score. Looks like a main army is gonna clash here with just half the army of ZEST, and ZEST is still gonna win that. It's gonna be a tied up score. Game number 4 goes in a bag of ZEST, and this has been already a wonderful series. 20-minute game number 4 after 3 very short and decisive games. Let's see what game number 5 will lead us to.
Yeah, this has essentially turned into a best of 3. So whichever player wins the next 2 wins will clinch the series and the finals. Let's see who will take the series lead here on game number 5 here on Death Aura LE.
What better map than Death Aura to start a best of 3? So
absolutely. Love, love, love Death Aura. I think it's one of the fan favorites.
Yeah, I feel like it's most certainly one of the players' favorite, just due to the shape of the map. Just very pretty to look at as well. And it's just an awesome map.
Also, the name of the map is also pretty cool too.
Yeah, exactly. Like Death Aura and Pillars of Gold both grew up on me. I didn't really like them at first, but I really started to love them the more we went with the flow, the more we saw gains on these 2 maps. And we're gonna see one more here in its best of 7 finals. And let's start here in the top left hand corner, because it is where the red Protoss player is currently spawning, winning 2 in a row. He's in a momentum state, playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is ZEST.
And spawn here at the bottom right corner of the map. He is the cheeky blue Protoss. It is a parting. And man, one of the reasons why I love this map as well is that in PvP, this map is actually very cannibal.
Oh yes it is. A Forge answer from ZEST. Oh boy, it's one of those games. Man, I can't wait for see this developing. Alright. Gonna be a
Whoa, what a sick play there by ZEST. Immediately throwing down that gateway to block the probe of parting from getting the high ground.
That was such a clutch play on the side of ZEST. It's gonna be such an important thing in the next few stages. Gonna cancel that gateway as soon as the forge is done. It's gonna be a pylon on the high ground being dropped down by parting, but this is gonna be very hard for him to clutch. This probe needs to stay alive, and he's not doing a great job at doing so. 2 cannons are gonna finish. Third cannon is also gonna finish. It's gonna be focusing down the pylons. The probe on the high ground is falling for parting. One of them is being killed. The other is in a very yellow hell right now. 2 cannons are gonna fall. Not gonna be ZEST game to win. Parting gets to match point.
Oh,
That's
man.
why Cannon Rush is the best thing ever, guys.
Oh man, what a way to win a very quick game. Take the series lead. A nice little cannon rush there.
He was like, oh, you won 2 in a row? Cute. And he just decided to Cannon Rush and straight up destroy the dreams of ZEST in one game. Oh man, if he does this again, it's gonna be the best day of my life if he does this again.
Yeah, so unfortunate though, because ZEST was actually in position to defend against that. I mean, really, all he needed to do was just prevent the probe from going up the ramp, getting into the base, and making that pylon. And also, he could have thrown down a second pylon, ZEST, behind the kind of near the mineral line, so that he can start making those cannons in case parting does make his way up. But unfortunately, he canceled that gateway, allowed the probe to get in. And that was pretty much GG from there.
Do you feel like that was a misplay, specifically?
Yeah, I mean, because if you just had the gateway finish, even if you're not going to use it, it does kind of prolong the probe from Parting's probe from getting into the base and making that pylon and starting making those cannons. At the very least, you can make a cannon in the ramp area, so that by the time the pylon or the gateway falls from ZEST, that his own cannon can snipe off the the probe of parting. Now, granted, it will be a bit a ways off, so that by the time the pylon of ZEST does fall and the parting's probe does go in, at the very least, you have the cannon to section off the ramp area, and then if you throw down another cannon like around the mineral line, you can also prevent any additional cannons coming up from parting. So yeah, a little bit of a misplay there by ZEST, unfortunately, because he did have the initial setup to kind of deny it, but gotta give it to parting. He executed it perfectly.
Yeah, it was a very clean victory out of parting with that cannon rush. Very quick on his reflexes. Being able to save the second probe was kind of crazy good. And I have to agree with you. Like, canceling that gateway is kind of a way too eager way to try to play that. He was probably feeling a little bit in a better spot than he actually was. And in the end, if he didn't cancel that gateway, he would have had a little bit later cannons. Alright, yeah, sure. The most he would have to deal with would have been like this kind of contain. As you were saying, like killing that pylon would have been kind of a long way. And he would have bought himself enough time to at least be in a good spot.
Yeah,
so,
and what's really detrimental is not having that second pylon, because
yeah,
that first pylon was actually his only pylon. It was basically powering the gateway, the forge, as well as any cannons that ZEST had. Without that second pylon, he wasn't able to throw down additional cannons behind it to kind of section off parting, so that even if parting threw up some cannons, that ZEST would have the earlier cannons to kind of start canceling that. But anyhow, we're headed into game number 6 here. Parting does have a 3-2 lead, and here we go on the map of Lightshade.
Spawning in the top left hand corner is the red Protoss player. He needs 2 in a row to make it work for him. And for Razor Edge Gaming, it is ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom right, he's the blue Protoss, 1 game away from victory. Can he do it? Give it up for Parting.
I have to confess, seeing where Parting has put his pylon, I was thinking he would have done another cannon rush. Then I watched them up and I see no probe. And that's a very, very sad icon.
Yeah, I mean, what's better than 1 cannon rush game? 2 cannon rush games, like, yeah. But this is going to be a pretty standard opening from both players.
Yeah, nothing too crazy happening on both sides, just a double gateway opener. You're on Lightshade, kind of a shock map. So lots of aggressive blink stalker things can happen. But that can also lead to a slower game. That's definitely not what Parting is looking to go for, seeing how he's making a pylon in the top side of the map. But aside from that, really, these if ZEST gets a good hold, it's still probably going to be a disruptor kind of game.
I think he should at least be set up to have a good defense, just because he does have the probe in Parting's base. He scouts that there is no second pylon, so that's kind of a telltale sign that he has the Parting has a proxy out there, at least a proxy pylon. So I think his spidey senses should be tingling, and looks like, yeah, he's opening up immediately with double stalkers.
Yeah, he's also looking around with the probe, checking for any possible proxy location. The other probe is gonna scout after a little bit that a Stargate is going on. He's still gonna be on time though. Oh, wait. What's the direction he will take? Oh no.
Oh wow. Okay, I think the stalker might be... Oh no, actually never mind. The stalker won't be able to see it. Oh.
Oh, ZEST, you're so unlucky. That was so unlucky. Like, he had a probe and a stalker getting into that side. And yeah, He's gonna see it now, but it's gonna be way too late. This Oracle is almost finished. And alright, he has 2 Stalkers back in the main. It's not like this Oracle will end the game on its own. But I feel like Padding can really get a pretty clean advantage out of this.
Oh, but he does let these 2 Adepts in. It's going to go ahead and do some nice little damage, get some probe kills.
Oh, that's terrible, terrible news for ZEST. Gonna lose 5 probes. Oh, probably 6 right now. Oh yeah, that's terrible, terrible news. You never want to let an Adept through, because that's what happens. The Pylon is gonna be killed on ZEST side of the map. It looks like 3 Stalkers are gonna be warped in right outside the boundaries of Padding's natural. But it's not gonna be a very good fight for the Red Protoss. It looks like Padding is gonna win another fight. And where's the Oracle at?
It's back at home, I believe, right?
Yeah. It's on one of the pillars. It looks like ZEST is playing very aggressively. There's a robot just being finished by Padding. All Padding needs to do is buy time, needs to ult. The Oracle is gonna go down. But ZEST is such a high amount of Stalkers. This game could go very south. There's a shield battery in the main, so it seems like Padding will even just barely have enough to ult until the Immortal is here. Just mostly because ZEST doesn't have a gateway to speed up the reinforcements on this side. So ZEST is gonna be happy with just killing the Stargate. Will it be enough there?
Doesn't look like both players are going for the second Nexus. I think the idea is that ZEST with that robotics facility is going to go ahead and try to get a War Prism to hopefully micro his Stalkers a bit better. But oh no, losing some additional Stalker to the Warp in, and now the Immortal is out on the field. Spelling disastrous for ZEST. Remember, he is down to 2-3, 1 game away from losing the series. He needs to win this game if he has any chance of claiming victory.
This Immortal is clearly making a statement. You cannot pass, he says, and gets a couple kills on the way. 2 sentries up now for Padding. A very much quicker natural Nexus on the side of the Blue Protoss. On the other hand, though, we see a very earlier robotics bay. No Immortals in production for ZEST. It looks like he wants to go straight up into these Raptors, but I'm not too sure about that. Padding is getting a very clean and net advantage.
Yeah, now it would be good, except Padding is getting a War Prism of his own, and with War Prism you can actually lift off the kind of the section, this group section where the disruptors are about to land. So you kind of dodge the disruptor hits with the War Prism. So I'm not sure if ZEST is able to get some nice connections to kind of bring himself back into the game. He is going to have to be kind of count his luck, because he is not making a second Nexus. He's kind of putting all his eggs in the basket with this. And actually, you know what? There might be a little bit of an opening, as there's not a lot here on the main base of Padding to defend against this War Prism drop.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna try and deal some damage over here. It doesn't look like Padding wants to mind a lot with that. He wants to get this game over right now. There's a Disruptor ready to drop a Nova into the ramp. He's gonna get quite a lot of damage, actually. That was quite a cool Nova. 8 probes are gonna fall back home. Much of these Stalkers are gonna be recalled by Padding. And I feel like ZEST did a very, very cool move.
Yeah, that was a great start here for ZEST. Now, he just needs to keep it up, because Padding, remember, he does have that second Nexus. He's ahead in the worker count. So ZEST is going to have to, make do with what he got.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like Padding can break through right now. It looks like ZEST kind of bought himself enough time to have some ready defenses. But of course, that Nexus disadvantage is gonna be kicking in very, very hard in a few minutes. And with this, another run by coming from ZEST, trying to get even more probes, is really setting up to a close economy, but not kind of close enough. Padding still has an income advantage, and very heavily so. And these War Prism and Stalkers fending off each other is just a way for Padding to buy himself even more time to have even stronger economy. the two disruptors ZEST S are the only edge, alongside, of course, his army is overall much stronger, but defender's advantage can kick in with the shield batteries. Alright, the Adepts trying to make their way past. The force fields are there for parting. The Adepts are gonna complete the shade. This is gonna be a huge Nova on top of one of the Immortals. And this is gonna be another huge Nova. ZEST biting back. And he's getting very, very ahead in army supply. 43 to 14. Shield battery overcharge. Not enough for this. And the Warp Prism is just gonna siege in this natural. Don't build a Nexus in your natural in this matchup, guys. The golden rule of PvP stands true. The score is tied. We're going to game number 7.
Oh man, it all comes down to this decisive game number 7. ZEST, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed by how ZEST kind of came back, because he looked like he was way behind, but disruptors, man, disruptors are the key. It's either DTs or disruptors to kind of give the Protoss the oomph to kind of turn back the game. I mean, we all heard that kind of classic line, "When behind a dark shrine," but you know, over the years, you know, when behind, you can also go disruptors too.
Absolutely, ZEST kind of getting a very, very strong display here in the 6th game of this series. Beautiful, beautiful game by ZEST, really clutching in a very bad scenario, and Parin kind of forgot the golden rule of PvP. Don't build your natural, guys. This is PvP. You don't need 2 bases. You only need 1.
All right, it all comes down to the I guess the fan hated submarine map here. I don't think a lot of people. I personally am okay with it, but it seems like
I love submarine.
yeah. I guess some people just doesn't like it just because it's really short and very, you know, there's a lot of aggressive things that can happen and a lot of cheeses as well. But here we go. Let's go ahead and introduce our players for the last time of today as we begin game number 7.
We're in the top left-hand corner of Submarine, our last set for this series. Last stand for the Red Protoss. Playing for Raise Your Edge Gaming. Make some noise for ZEST.
And spawning here at the bottom right, use the blue Protoss. Hailing from Korea. Give it up for Parting.
Oh man, this is such a hard game to predict. It's Submarine, it's crazy. These two players are playing out of their minds. And they've been playing 6 very different games. Every single one was different from the other. I really don't know where to stand for this last game.
I agree. I have absolutely no idea how this last game is going to turn out. Should be interesting nonetheless.
Oh, absolutely. Even more interesting, actually. It looks as ZEST is gonna be sending out his probe way earlier than Parting, who's gonna just try to optimize his mining for the time being in the early game.
Yes.
As all mirror goes on short maps, they kind of get pretty much the same exact build order in the beginning. But as we've been saying many times during this series, the first 2 units and the first structure after the 780 score are all that matters. Double Stalkers on both sides, both players kind of not taking chances. They want to be sure, and Stalkers are the safest choice.
Yeah, and also because this map is pretty short, sending your Stalkers across the map is a bit easier, so I could understand why these players are opening up with double Stalkers.
Yeah, it's perfectly understandable.
Ah, looks like we have a Robo opening here for Parting, so it looks like he's going to be on the more aggressive end here. We'll see if ZEST decides to throw down the Nexus. He's sending his probe there, so that kind of indicates to me that he's going for more of an economic opening compared to parting.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially on Submarine. I wasn't really expecting him to go for that. He needs to be able to hold, and it's not gonna be easy at all. He's not gonna be having the tech to do that. He's gonna be behind him army probably just in a little while, as soon as the first Immortal kind of pops out. It's gonna be a Warp Prism. Oh, parting. What do you have in mind?
Looks like we have that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 3-gate Warp Prism. And then you're just going to use the Warp Prism to micro. It's going to be important for ZEST to get those shield batteries up to help defend, because he's going to be behind in terms of army for a little bit of a while until he can get his robotics facility to start making those Immortal.
Oh, yeah. It could also be just a lift into the main. It's also something that could be very deadly for ZEST. Parting is growing in army supply very quickly, and he's right now sending it through the map. What a classic.
Alright, this game can be decided possibly in this next minute or so. We do see ZEST scouts no Nexus. He should be throwing down a bunch of shield batteries, chrono boosting out that Immortal, because he knows something is up.
Oh yes, the one shield battery. He needs shield battery overcharge. He needs energy for that. The Sentries are not getting the Guardian shield. That's not very good from ZEST. Shield battery overcharge, still such a great thing to be using. And Party not gonna take the better of that engagement. And you know what? ZEST dropping down that Warp Prism of his own. He wants to bite back, and that's the Robo Bay on the side of Parting. It looks like we're gonna have a similar game to game number 6, but this time the players have been taking the opposite side, with Parting being behind and dropping the Robo Bay, while ZEST has the Nexus up as the clean defense and wants to go on the aggression. He's dropping to the main by Parting. He's not gonna get much, it seems like. Oh, the Warp Prism is exposed, but there's a shield battery ready to save that. Parting is just gonna have to withdraw from there as well. And now the Robo Bay is done, but ZEST is clearly ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? That Robotics Bay done for Parting. He's going to be able to make those disruptors, and we've seen in the last game how that turned out. But things are looking pretty good so far for ZEST, as he is holding on. He's still making those probes. He's still got that second Nexus. You just got to deal with the incoming disruptors that are about to pop out for for Parting.
Oh, the Warp Prism falls down for ZEST. That's so good. No recall available. The Immortal is gonna go down. Parting bites back so much. The first disruptor is on the way for Parting as well. And without the Warp Prism for ZEST, micro advantage is on the side of Parting.
Oh my god, what a huge blunder there by ZEST. I'm not sure why he went out so far out in the middle of the map. Now he's got to pull probes to hope to defend before his first Immortal can, or his follow-up Immortal can engage here. But Disruptor is making his way across the map.
Yeah, Parting wants to end the game right here, right now. He knows his opponent has a Nexus advantage. He knows he's gonna be having the stronger economy. He knows he has to do something. Shield Battery Overcharge gets used. The Stalker's gonna dive on top of the Immortal. The Immortal immediately falls. That's such a huge amount of Stalkers. It looks like Parting will go with his own classic move to end this series. The Disruption will get one more Stalker. This Shield Battery has no more juice, and the Stalkers are there no more for ZEST. Parting takes game number 7 and takes the series back home. Wow.